This is totally crazy. Who would want to lose to a bot team? But let me tell you why you should do this and especially how. Hey guys, I'm Uncle Mish and I'm doing hat trick content on my YouTube channel. You could check it out and see all the useful guides that I'm doing for hat trick. Today I want to talk about an off topic, and that's why you should lose to a bot team. And if you want to lose to a bot team, how could you do it? Because they are really weak. So let's start. If you are a very strong team and you are competing for all the titles, by all means, go win the championship, go win the national cup, and then go to the masters and enjoy it. But not all the teams competing for all the titles and even the challenger cups, the emerald, ruby and sapphire cup. But some teams are not strong enough, but still they want to spice up their season. Let's say that you are rebuilding your team or changed training and you are not producing very high ratings yet, but you want to compete for something, you want something interesting in your life, and maybe this consolation cup could be the thing for you. The consolation cup is the lowest cup in every country. After the national cup, the free challenger cup, you are dropping into the consolation cup. Most of the teams there aren't that strong, and that's why with pretty reasonable ratings you could compete and maybe even win this cup. How can you get there? And that's one of the more difficult ways. Actually, there are two ways to get into the consolation cup. So basically every team in every country eligible for at least 3 cup matches. This means that if you are losing your first match in the national cup, you'll be dropping to the emerald challenger cup, and if you are losing your first match in the emerald challenger cup, you will be dropping into the consolation cup. So the other way would be losing your second match in the national cup and then dropping into the challenger ruby cup. If you will lose your first match in the ruby cup, you'll again drop into the consolation cup. That's not the way with the sapphire cup. You'll get to the sapphire cup after winning 2 games in the national cup, losing your third one. You'll get to the sapphire cup, but you will not drop to the consolation cup if you lose your first match in the sapphire cup. So just bear this in mind. And some of the times when you are facing your first match in the emerald or ruby cups, you will be facing bot teams, and that's very hard to lose to. But me having a 3 out of 3 record losing to bot teams, I could definitely give you some tips and guides. So let me show you. With my secondary team, the Black Sabbath, that are getting pretty strong at the moment, I was able to win this consolation cup 3 seasons ago, and the road there wasn't that easy. About 9 years ago, I made my first try. I lost the first national cup match, and then I faced a bot team and I lost 4-0. But I was eliminated later on. Next season I did this again, losing the first match in the national cup, losing the first match in the emerald cup, again to a bot team, this time 7-0. I was improving, and then going all the way to the final, having better ratings, but unfortunately Match Engine didn't want me to win, and I lost this final 3-2. It took me about 5 more seasons to gather up my strength and try to win the consolation cup again, and I did it. And this time I lost my second national cup match and lost my first ruby challenger cup, again to a bot team, this time 7-0, and I will show you how I did this. And obviously this season with my main team that are not competitive at the moment, they did win 2 national cups in the past and even 4 championship, but this time I want something new on my prize shelf, and I made the effort to lose in the first round of the emerald cup to a bot team. Let me show you how I did it. So you'll be facing very low ratings, and you have to overcome this and lose to those ratings around wretched and sometimes even disastrous ratings of the bot teams, as you can see here. How could you lose to this? So let's even take into account you don't want to lose a technical loss. If you won't field enough players, you will lose 5-0, but then you will lose the training for this particular match, and you want to maximize your training. So taking into account your trainees aren't that good and they won't win you the game by themselves, you could do the following tricks. First of all, don't field a complete lineup. You could still play the match fielding only 8 players plus a goalkeeper. You don't need 10 players plus a goalkeeper. And the other thing, go into the transfer market and buy special players exactly for this type of game. And I will show you which special players should you buy. So check it out. In my first game against a bot team, I fielded up 4-4-0 formation. I could have fielded 2 more players, but I wanted to make sure that I don't have any attack at all, so I will not score to this bot team. The second time I played against a bot team, I even improved and I went, and as you can see, I am buying players with 0 stars. Again, free formation, that's an incomplete formation, only 8 players on the field plus a goalkeeper. And in the match of this season, I was playing a 5-0 free formation with really bad players. My forward was players with 0 stars. That means they are not suitable to play as forwards. They won't contribute anything to the ratings. I played without wingers or inner midfielders, and I was playing with 5 defenders because I am training defense. So that's pretty good. And check out my goalkeeper, again 0 stars, not contribute anything to the ratings. If you will see the ratings in this game, you will see I got a disastrous midfield, and it was low enough to lose to a bot team. Again, my defense was slightly better than like their attack, but my attack was so bad that I was not able to score anything. And that's the most important thing, trying to lose to a bot team. Lose the midfield, give them all the chances. You could see the chance distribution was 7 to the bot team and only 2 for me. The other matches that I was playing, again 9 for the bot team, 0 for me. And this game that was the first one, not that good, 7 to the bot team, 6 for me, but still I managed to lose this game. So don't field enough players, play only with your trainees, and for all the other roles, play with players that don't contribute anything at all. If you don't have those kind of players and they will contribute a little bit, go to the transfer market and see. I have this search profile that I made especially for you. It's called Losing to Bots, and I'm looking for players with, I don't know, some experience, but I'm setting the maximum TSI to be 150. I could do even worse, but if I'll check this search list, let's see which players could I field up. So these players are really bad, but still they contribute a little bit. This kind of player with no ratings at all, no loyalty at all, he will contribute absolutely 0 for your ratings, and that's wonderful for your game against the bot team. He is a solid future coach, so he might worth more. If you need solid coaches, future coaches, go for it, but if not, let's just continue the search. We have this kind of player, I don't know, he is pretty old. He won't contribute anything if you place him as a forward. He has very low midfield, but one player behind him, check it out, no ratings at all. He costs you the minimum amount, and he's not even a future coach. So you will buy him for free. Check out that they won't drop any team spirit when you buy them. Just go here. If he's a nasty fellow, maybe you could avoid it, but go for players that will not drop your team spirit when you buy them, and then just fire them so you won't lose team spirit when you sell them as well. That's pretty much it. Just don't field enough players, play only with 9 players in the starting lineup. Place only your worst trainees so they won't contribute anything for your ratings, and go to the transfer market and buy really, really bad players that don't contribute anything to your lineup. And that's it. Then your wave to the Consolation Cup will be paved, and after you are losing to a bot team, just try to win all the games and enjoy a really, really nice price in your prize shelf. That would be it. As I'm always saying, Hattrick is more than a game, it's a community. You are welcome to like the video and subscribe to the channel, but more than everything, just enjoy this game and I'll definitely see you around.